Welcome to the video lecture on Lamport's logical clock for distributed systems. We all know there is no physical clock at a distributed environment. In the absence of a global clock, physical clock in distributed systems, there are always two issues we have to overcome. One is the temporal ordering, another is up-to-date information. Temporal ordering means if suppose there are different processes, all the sites are geographically distributed, and also every site it has its own process. Suppose there is a message communication between one process to another process located at different site or same site. We have to order the message, which happens first and which happens next. So this is what you call temporal ordering. And even not only message, if there are events happen at every process, we have to sequence the event. That is, which event happened before, which is next, like, right? And which are the concurrent events similarly. And also it is order to collect up-to-date information. That is, when does that particular event happen, right? So such a the issues are there in absence of global clock. How to find a solution for this particular issue? One is, suppose if you assume that we can provide a physical clock at all sites, then let's see what's happened. And any two process happening at different site can observe the global clock value at different instant of time due to transmission delay, which is unpredictable in nature. Another problem is there is a high chance of drift from physical time to so that the drift rate also may vary clock to clock. These are the two issues while you provide physical clock at all sites. Then the solution here is to have a logical clock. Logical clocks are always refers a protocol on all machine in a distributed environment so that the machines are able to maintain some consistent ordering of events within some virtual time span. Such a logical clock is our Lamport's logical clock. Always the Lamport's logical clocks are working on the order of event, which can be defined either happen before relation or casually related or concurrent. Happen before relations specify which event happened before what event. And casually related events are events which are casually affect one another. That's what happened before relation maybe. And concurrent events are events which are happening at same time, so that happening of one event cannot affect another event. Let's come to the casual effect, which actually are resolved by Lamport's clock and addressed by Lamport clock. Casual effect are based upon the casual events where past events influence the future. Events is referred as casual effect. For example, if A is an event, B is another event, A casually affect B if A happens before B. Then concurrent events. Concurrent events are events which are happening. A happened before B, B happened before A. That means they both happen at same time, right? So these events are concurrent events. Coming to logic, the algorithm behind Lamport's logical clock, right? And Lamport's logical clock is a numerical software counter value, which is in type of scalar maintained at each process. So each process maintains a software clock, which is a scalar value, just as a counter. It increments event to event. And it is created by Leslie Lamport, so that by its founder, the clock is said to be a Lamport's logical clock. And it is a procedure to determine the order of events on its occurrence. Lamport's logical clock talk about the happen before relation. It captures the casual dependencies between events, whether two events are casually related or not. There are two cases exist. One is we are dealing with happen before relation among two events belonging to the same process, and among two events belonging to different processes communicating via message. So the first case here says A happened before B if A and B are belonging to same event, same process, and A occurred before B. The second case says A happened before B, but A and B are belonging to different processes, right? For example, A may belong to process P1, B may belong to process P2. A is now communicating a message M to B. Now A is the sending event, B is the receiving event. So that A happened before B. Then there are three events can be in a transitive manner of relationship where A happened before B, B happened before C. So that we can say A happened before C. The transitivity is possible. Now coming to an example of this is a in x-axis the time is given and in the y-axis the space. The space means the processes happened in a site or in distributed systems. Here this diagram is called space time diagram. Right? So here we can see there are two processes P1, P2. Each process has its own events. P1 have 4 events, E11, E12, E13 and E14. Similarly, P2 have 4 events, E21, 22, 23, 24. Here we have to understand E represents event. The first index says which process it belongs to. Second index says the event number. So here E11 means the first event of process P1. This is the second event of process P1. This is the third event of process P1. Here E21 means the first event of process P2. E22 is second event of process P2, right? And such a way, and so on and so forth. We can refer any event, right? Let's come to the example, algorithm of Lamport's. Lamport algorithm always focus on, as I already mentioned, its focus is on happen before relation. It wants to capture causal effect events. Causal effect, right? So A happened before B, right? So in such a way, there are two events, A and B. We can establish this relation under two cases, right? We can say two conditions here. These are conditions. And this is condition implementation. C1 covers the case 1 of the algorithm where the two events A and B belongs to the same process Pi. In such a case, we can say the time clock value of A is less than the clock value of B. If A happens before B and A and B belongs to the same process, then Ci of A is less than Ci of B. Whereas in case 2, condition 2 comes into picture. Here where A and B are events belongs to different processes. A belongs to Pi, B belongs to Pj. Now here there are two processes, Pi and Pj. A is here at Pi, B is there at Pj. Now A is sending a message M to B. Now we can say A happens before B. In such a case, Ci of A is always less than Cj of B. Okay, so these are the two conditions. The first condition says Pi, there are one process Pi where A and B both are in the same process. If A happens before B, we can say the clock of A is less than B, right? So this is the second case. And there are two implementation rules. IR1 implement condition 1, IR2 implements condition 2, right? If condition 1 exists, then the clock is calculated. The B's clock is calculated based upon the A's clock plus D. So here D is the time delay, right? So the time difference we can say it is always a more than 0 value. And if time 2 is Case 2 exists, there is condition 2 exists, implementation rule 2 come into picture, where the clock of B is calculated based upon the maximum of the clock of B plus the time difference, otherwise the time of message sent plus the distance. Okay, so let's understand this with an example in a very clear way. Move on to the example. Let's take this states as a space-time diagram where there are two processes P1 and P2, where E11, E12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all 7 events belongs to P1. Similarly, E21 till E25 belongs to process P2. Now let's calculate the time. Let's assume that D is equal to 1. Now E11 is the first event of P1. So let's assume that it happens at time 1. Second, E12. Here, whenever we start calculating the time, clock value of every event, we have to determine whether they belongs to the category 1, that is condition 1 or condition 2. Condition 1 means there is no incoming edge, that is there is no message communication from different process. If so, there is an incoming edge like E23, E15, we have to follow the implementation rule 2, isn't so? Now, on calculating the clock value of E12, let's say in process P1, we are calculating E12. Here, E11 happens before E12. So E11 happened at time 1, so that condition implementation rule 1 applied. Implementation rule 1 applied, which says the clock of E12 will be equal to the clock of E11 plus D, which is 1 plus 1 equal to 2. So the value of the clock is 2. And move on to E13. Similarly, the same way, because E13, there is no incoming message, so that IR1, rule 1 is applied here also. So it is 3. And here also increment by 1, 4. But when come to E15, here process P1, we are computing E15. But here condition 2 exists. So we have IR2, implementation rule 2, right? For implementation rule 2, we have to find the E15 will take a value which is maximum of either E14 plus D or E message sending process. Here this is the sender and this is the receiver. So message sending process is E22 plus D. So for which we need to have E22. So E22, first calculate E22. Here according to the process P2, E21 is the first process. Let's assume the counter is 1. Then E22, there is no incoming edge. So that similar, the same way E12 calculated, we can calculate E22. Okay, apply implementation rule 1 and calculate E22, which is 1 plus 1 is 2. Now what is E22 is 2 and E14 we know. Now we can calculate E15, which is the maximum of E14 is 4, 4 plus 1, or E22 is 2, 2 plus 1. So here 2 plus 1 comes and here 4 plus 1 comes. So at this point there are two values, 5, 3. So amongst these two, which one is maximum? Which is 5. So E15 is 5. Similarly, we can calculate all other events clock value. Here E16, let's start calculating. Here there is no incoming edge. There is a E16 is a message sending event. So no, there is no incoming. So that it may be calculated according to IR1, so which is 6. But when calculating E17, we have to apply IR2. So that before that we want to know what is E24. So E24 can be calculated before which E23 should be. So here E23 is a message receiving event. There is some incoming edge. So that in this point we have to calculate the maximum of E12 plus 1 or E22 plus 1. So E12 plus 1 is 3, E22 plus 1 is again 3. So that 3 comma 3 maximum is 3 we can take. Similarly E24, here it is a sending event. So there is no receiving end. So which can be calculated using IR1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Now E25 could be either the maximum of E24 plus 1 or E16 plus 1. So here E16 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, or E24 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. So at this edge, we have to find the maximum of 7 comma 5, which is 7, so that 7 is assumed here. Right? Now you look at here, all the events are ordered. All the events are ordered. Okay, so this is how actually the Lamport's logical clock works. Right? There is a limitation of Lamport's clock. That is partial order of event. The Lamport clock is, there is a limitation of Lamport clock, which is partial ordering of event. For example, if A happened before B, then it is true that the clock of A is less than clock of B. But if you have been given with the clock of A and B, if C of A is less than C of B, then we cannot say that A happened before B. The vice versa, it is not true, right? So this is what partial order of event. This is a limitation of Lamport clock. And also the Lamport clock doesn't capture the concurrency, right? So these are the two limitations of Lamport's clock. Okay, let's see how the limitations of Lamport's clock is overcome by vector clock in the next video. Thank you for listening.